What's up, guys? Welcome back to Ghastly Gospels, where the Gospels of the damned await. We missed you guys, of course. Um, you already know I am Dr. Kaori Knight here with.
The captain, the greatest, the one, the only. How's everybody doing?
So it has been a while, right? But we're back. We have expanded into different countries, which is actually super exciting because we landed in Hong Kong
I fuck
with
with Hong Kong, bro. I fuck with Hong Kong heavy.
That was I think it had like 5 or 6 downloads, for the one we did about torture, and then I was like, "Of course." And then we had, like 3 or 4 for, Miss Elizabeth from the beginning.
That's dope.
I was like, "Okay,
What's
Hong
what's
Kong, I see you."
what's hello in Hong Kong? Is it ni hao in Chinese in
Ni
Mandarin?
hao.
Yeah, do they speak Mandarin
Ni
in
hao.
Hong
Eh,
Kong?
they have Wu Chinese, Mandarin, and Cantonese. Mandarin is the most common, though.
Oh, say this. Hey, ni hao to my my Hong Kongian friends. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to y'all. Or if y'all just Americans that live over there, that is a possibility.
Anyway, so today we are talking about 2 serial killers because you could never get enough of serial killers around here. And the 2 serial killers we're talking about actually have TV shows that will be coming out in October. So the first one, of course, we have John Wayne Gacy. His TV show is called Devil in Disguise, and it comes out October 16th. And then we have Ed Gein, which we will be discussing, who's being played by Charlie Hunnam's fine ass.
Oh my god.
October 3rd for like season 3 of Monsters on um Netflix. First of all, don't do that.
You just stop being so
Okay.
thirsty. Just stop being so thirsty, dog. Go
It
get some water.
cannot be helped. Okay. It can't be helped. Charlie Hunnam is delicious. Anyway, so we can start with John Wayne Gacy first. I just want everyone to know John Wayne Gacy is like one of my favorite serial killers to learn and or talk about, and his birthday is the day before mine. I'm just saying.
I don't know why she has the pride in that as she does, but I'd rather not
He is
have
actually
this
pretty
kind of
cute.
person associated with Pisces, but that's just me though. Um,
I
but to get
mean,
in,
there's not really a lot that you can do about that at this point.
not too much that we can do. I mean, once we figure out time travel, we can go figure that out. But as of now, no. But to get into John, I did a lot of research on John, and by research, I mean watched a bunch of documentaries to kind of get a feel for the timeline of how he operated, his modus operandi, and the different things that made him tick. The most prevalent thing, just to give people just some references they can go look for themselves that I think you'll find interesting, is the John Wayne Gacy tapes on Netflix. It's a 3 episode docu series that showcases a lot of interviews that they had with Gacy. I think it's over 60 hours of interview tape that they had with him up until his execution in 94, I believe, or 95. Um, it's interesting, and you get a lot of perspective because he was a chatterbox, but we'll get into a lot of that later on. For the most part, there's not a lot of like timeline. There's not like a long timeline of events that are interesting, like we did with the hauntings. With John Wayne Gacy, it's more so the things that made him tick that are the most interesting. Not even really the way he kills, because for the most part, at least for me, his kills were very underwhelming in regards to like how he killed people. It was usually a lot of strangulation. I think he's threatened some people with gunfire in different manners. So he doesn't really do anything creative as far as that goes. It's the leading up to that and the way he takes that is very interesting. John Wayne Gacy, and this is something that I talked about with Kay a little bit earlier today before the episode came together. Now, he has this thing going on that I've started to notice with a lot of different serial killers that we see in the same vein, especially around the same time period when you're looking at Jeffrey Dahmer. Um, it's the whole idea that these individuals are very, very difficult to categorize in regards to how they identify their sexuality. They have very interesting relationships with sex and how they perceive it. And Gacy is really the pinnacle of that. Gacy was a man who had a wife and a child biologically and went on to marry another wife after some events that we'll get into, I'll talk about, with another couple kids. But even though he was married to two different women and procreated to have a child with one, he was interested in having sexual relations with men. Now, in one of the interviews that he gave, one of the clips I saw, he had a very interesting statement that I really thought was really telling of his mindset and who he was, because um he was diagnosed as somebody that has anti-personality or antisocial personality disorder. His statement was this. He was identifying that there are heterosexual people that have sex with that fall in love and have sex with the opposite sex. There are homosexual people that have sex with people of the other sex, and then there are bisexual people that tend, and from his perspective, he says that people that are bisexuals tend to see sex as a masturbatory thing versus something that is romantic, and they just have sex for the fun of it. And he personally doesn't like put himself in any of those categories. He's very special in his eyes. Um, he does not really see sex as this romantic thing or this connection, this emotional act that most people would see it as. He sees it as a means to an end in regards to getting his rocks off, and in doing so that leads to a lot of the deaths and the murders that he has throughout his time period, because he has the tendency to one focus on younger men. And again, this is some of his words that I wrote down in regards to his targets. He would look for young virile men that looked very innocent, and in doing so, there was he would, again, all these murders usually took place. Most of the murders took place around the Chicago area, and he would frequent this one area in Chicago that was known for having gay men kind of being on the prowl, looking for other gay men. Because obviously, during this time period, being gay outward and openly wasn't the safest thing or the most accepted thing. So you'd have to kind of do your dirt or or just be you in private. So he would like go and pretty much just like go on the prowl and patrol these areas looking for young gay men that fit his description that he could take advantage of to have sex acts with, or then murder. And I think the interesting thing about John Wayne Gacy outside of this factor is that he had a couple different ways he would like hunt these men, to say the least. Obviously, like I just mentioned, first and foremost, he would patrol around and just do the normal thing that you would associate with somebody like Ted Bundy, as far as chatting them up, using his charm to get them to come back to his home. He would also have a old black Oldsmobile vehicle with a police light, like a spotlight on top of it, impersonating a police officer with that car, as well as having some false badges and kind of just dressing like an off-duty cop. And he would then scare kids into coming back to his home, like making them think they were under arrest and letting them know that if they wanted to escape arrest, they would have to do some things for him. And kids, being in fear of the police and being in trouble, they would do it anyway. So he would give it back that way. The most sadistic thing to me in regards to a method of getting murder victims is he was a contractor. He owned a company called PDM, which I can't remember the acronym for it. It was Polished something contract. I can't remember what it was, but it essentially was a contracting business where he would just get paid to do all kinds of odd jobs, and he would hire on contracted workers. But the interesting thing is, all these contracted workers would be young, virile, innocent-looking men. They'd be young kids. And in doing so, he would hire these kids, form certain types of bonds and relationship with them, and then murder them or murder a few of them, and they would just disappear. And these families would be wondering what's going on. And he would then either sell the vehicle, because a lot of these kids would leave behind cars. He would either sell those cars to other kids or sell them outright to just other people for pennies on a dollar to get rid of the vehicles. I know I'm kind of like bouncing around here in regards to these events. I think a lot of the information that I was receiving around how he did this, I was kind of bounced around as well. But he was just very peculiar. Obviously, he had his type. He had his modus operandi in regards to how he would look at young gay men, or just look at gay people in general, or look at sex, and it all kind of just compiled into this individual who really like just love to take advantage of young people so he could murder them and have sexual relations with them. Now, he in his own interview spoke at one point that he started to kind of resent them. And I think this is where I wanted to kind of point out a lot of the confusion in his sexuality, because in him resenting the gay people that he would have these relations with and murder, it feels like this, I guess, mirror of him looking at. It felt like him looking in a mirror and hating himself. I'll say that. I was about to go really complicated with this, and him hating himself. He he would do these things in regards to discussing his father, and his father would also be a lot of the inspiration in which why he does what he does, because his father saw him as somebody that isn't good enough. He said his father would constantly call him weak, have him do all kinds of not have him do any tests. He would just call him weak and just constantly berate his son and letting him know that he's not enough. And then this leads to
No, he also did that thing where he would call him like a mama's boy and a sissy and said that he was probably gonna grow up to be gay. So and then he always compared Gacy to his sisters as well. Um, and then he was like overweight and unathletic, had a heart
mm,
condition, and he started experiencing blackouts. I think they said he started experiencing blackouts like in the 4th grade. He was hospitalized. He had a bursted appendix. Like he, he went through hell with his dad for a long time. And I think like between when he was a teenager, he spent like a whole year in a hospital.
yeah, I was waiting for you to hop in. I was like, okay, I'm making sure I wasn't like mistaking information here. But yeah, he had a lot of difficulty with his father. So again, I know I've kind of jumped from spot to spot, everyone, but jumped to spot to really kind of build you a picture of what made this man tick and why he did what he did. Because like I said before, if he's targeting these young men and specifically gay young men, and he has this weird relationship with his sexuality, and again, his father really enforcing this behavior, or at least the thought process of him not being weak or the way he views gay men, it just makes sense in regards to this like big culmination of somebody that just needed psychological fucking help. This man needed therapy at one point. Hell, his
Mhm.
entire life, because you have all these different things going on leading up to this. It makes sense as to how he ended up how he ended up. Now, the thing that did make any fucking sense was how he was allowed to do such things, because when they excavated his house, they found 26 bodies, I believe, on the site. And he was at least accredited for 33 bodies in total in regards to murders. I think in one of the
Yeah, the
tapes
rest
that
of
he
them were
mentioned,
better.
yeah, right before he was executed, because he did get the death sentence, and avoided the death sentence for like 14 years on appeals up until 1995, I believe. One of the things he said before he passed away was that he killed 33 people. You only get to kill me one time. So he kind of went out on that whole mental superiority thing, because that was a big thing for him. He wanted to feel stronger and superior to everyone else, which again I think goes back to his father making him feel small. But in
Not
regards
gonna lie.
to, oh, go ahead.
If I ever became a serial killer, I was like, if I ever became a serial killer, I would totally do that.
That's a bar to go out on. I'm not gonna lie. That's a crazy bar to go out on.
Yes. That
It's a crazy bar
is
to go out on.
I I oh my god. I would need to say something like that before I leave. I'm not even fucking joking.
But see, it makes sense
That
because
is
the whole
insane.
thing with him is that it feels like his entire life he looked for something to feel this void of a power dynamic he felt like he didn't have. Like it felt like in his entire life he was looking for strength and power in one form or way to feel like he was the man that his father said he wouldn't be. Because when you look at Gacy's life, because outside of him being weird and a lot of those the murderous things that he was doing, when you look at his life, he was a normal citizen for the most part. Again, had his contracting company, had his he was a Democrat, a registered Democrat, and was a part of a lot of different organizations in regards to um politics and being involved with his community as well as the country. He was as well like really involved in running a lot of the parades and organizing the parades that would go on. He was very involved in his community. A lot of people knew him. A lot of people loved him. He had connections in Chicago in the police department, in the lawyers in like the DA's office. He was just really well connected and just really well liked by everyone. So when news about this stuff started to get out, it was very surprising. Now,
And most of
I'm
it started over in Iowa too, because he was like the manager for KFC or whatever.
mhm.
And um he like employed teenagers there because of course like fast food is a teenager's job and shit. But and he employed teenagers of both sexes, but he only really socialized with the male, like the males.
And this is the whole thing where I wanted to kind of point out as well, really quickly before we moved on, where he it seemed like he was just like fighting his own sexuality so much that he wanted to marry these women, but one of the issues in his second marriage, in which he got divorced before a lot of the murders came to the light, was that he wasn't having sex with his second wife. Like he mentioned, they would get into arguments about that because he would say that he was tired from working so much, blah, 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 but then would bring these men that he would have sex with to his garage at home and have, do the deed in the garage and then dip. And some he would murder. Some he said were prostitutes that he would pay like $20 or $50 to have relations with. And if they asked for more after the fact or tried to blackmail him about outing him, he would then murder him. So again, a lot of weird stuff going on in regards to him cheating on his wife in secret with men, and his wife knowing that, and putting up with it for a while. And again, going back into him being allowed to do a lot of this shit, it's so crazy to me that you as a wife, like you're complaining, this man is cheating on you, but the only thing you want is him to have sex with you. Like you don't care that he's having sex with men or underage boys that you're accusing him of, and you stay with him that whole time, and all you ask for is to meet every now and then. It's crazy. That's insane to me. Like, woman, if you don't just leave this man, if you don't leave this
Stand
man,
up. Stand up. God damn. Oh my god.
but this is the thing I wanted to kind of pivot to in regards to something that we mentioned before in talking about other serial killers, but this is something that is even more prevalent I don't know if this is more prevalent in this case or the case of Jeffrey Dahmer, in regards to during the 70s and sometimes in the early 80s, these white men just getting able to do whatever they want and get away with it.
Mm,
Gacy
mm.
at a certain point didn't even get caught for certain things. He was getting tailed around or followed around. But at a certain point, he went to the police station and was confessing to a bunch of different murders, to all the murders in great detail, because he felt like he could manipulate the police department by giving them this information so that he could get out of the situation. He genuinely believed for a significant amount of time that he was going to get away scot-free with this because society had allowed him to do so up until this point. And in saying that, the exhibit A for this is pointing back to his first run-in with the law. See, like I already mentioned, John Wayne Gacy was in Iowa, was a cook, or not a cook, but a manager at a KFC, and he was still relatively involved in like the political landscape. And there was a child who was the son of one of his colleagues there that, for whatever reason, I can't remember, ended up at his home socially. And he was
Donald,
showing him,
right?
huh?
Donald Voorhees, right?
Yeah, Donald Voorhees, yeah.
Yeah, he was there because he was gonna show him some fucking porn.
Wasn't trying to. He
He
showed
was
him
gonna
what they called at that time. They called them stag films at that time, that point in time.
yes.
So he also had some form of a stag film obsession, and he was showing this child this video. And while this child was watching this video, he in his interview mentioned how, well, if when you're watching the video, you're naturally going to get aroused. And, one thing led to another. He ended up performing fellatio on me, and then I performed fellatio on him.
And he said
Which
you
is,
have to have sex with men before you have sex with women. He did say that.
yes, he is. It's very interesting how he goes about doing these things, and how he goes about abusing these kids because they are children. Um, And because he had that event, that thing going on there, he threatened the child to not tell anybody, obviously. And Kaylee, maybe you remember how I don't remember if he just straight up told somebody or the information was leaked somehow. I don't know how anybody found out about this, but somebody found out. He was arrested for sodomy and it was supposed to be, I think, 11 years in prison, but ended up getting out in 18 months. And because this is the 70s and cops are horrible at this point in time, it feels like, he was able to move from Iowa to Illinois to serve out his rest of his parole, and essentially got to start his life over scot-free with nothing following him, which is insane. It's literally insane to me, because when you look at the black men or women that leave prison that have difficulty getting a fast food job sometimes because of their rap sheet, you have this person who's a convicted child predator who's able to move to another city, not even too far away from where he lived at initially, or a whole other state, and just get to start over. And is still involved with the community and involved with having children around him. Picture somebody who got arrested for being involved with minors to then go on to start a contracting business where he keeps nothing but minors around him. It's fucking insane.
So I think with that one, it was like because he was part of this like political group called the JCs or whatever.
JCC.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
they basically like rallied behind him because his story sounded fine. Like it sounded like he wasn't lying and that the 15-year-old child was lying. And so he hired somebody who's like an 18-year-old to go beat up said child to stop him from like testifying or whatever. And they were like, well, instead of us taking him to trial, let's just give him a psych eval. So they give him a psych eval, and the psychiatrist is like, he's not going to fucking benefit from therapy. This man is insane. He needs to go to jail. And so he pleaded guilty to one count of sodomy in relation to Voorhees, and then not guilty to charges related to like a couple of other people. However, he claimed that the child, offered himself to him and that he acted out of curiosity.
Because yeah, he had never had
And
experience with the boy before. And just, you know what? Why not? Why not?
But he was like, he became like, because he got the 10-year sentence, and he became like this super model prisoner, and he had gotten to be like head cook after being there for a couple of months, and he joined the inmate chapter of the political group that he was there, and he like get their membership went from 50 to 650 in less than 18 months, and got them daily pay. Listen, got them a miniature golf course. They gave him an award, but he was denied parole in 1969.
This is just again, I can't imagine anybody of any other complexion of any point in time, hell, maybe even at that point in time, being able to get away with this shit. Like you're not just going to jail for any kind of crime, any kind of sexual assault, but you legit assaulted a child, and you just like, yeah, I'm a model citizen now, so I can do whatever. Um,
Like, the prisoners love me in here, actually. So, we're cool. You can let me out.
and the thing that made it even worse, because we're to get back into his contracting business again, most of his victims were kids that worked for him. So you would think, me as a police officer, right? And me in this situation, in this scenario, hey, there are a bunch of disappearances happening in this city where kids are just disappearing off the planet Earth. All these kids are disappearing after they go to work. All these
Mhm.
kids work at the same location. All these kids work at the same location employed by the same man. Why would we not investigate this man sooner? Why are we getting to 20 plus kids before we're like, hey, we should probably tell this man and try to follow him around and see what's going on? It
The police are terrible. I don't know what it is, but it's like the situation is not funny, but it's like the police at this time were so bad at their job.
I don't understand it. Like, even if you, because I think one of the documentaries I watched, one of the cops were talking about like the difficulty they had with police stations not being able to share the criminal database in like nationally like that easy because of the technology limitations. At bare minimum, even the cops in Chicago, again, keep in mind, this isn't like cop from LA to Georgia. This is Iowa and Illinois. They're not that far apart. Why is it so difficult
At
to share
all.
information about this high profile pedophile moving from one state to another state? Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think geologically speaking, Iowa and Illinois touch, right? Like they're border states, correct?
I'm pretty sure that they do. I'm
So
pretty sure they do.
that's even crazier to
It's
me,
like
bro. Like,
Iowa, Idaho, and Illinois. Like, yeah, they're like.
like you're
But
not
here's my
jumping states
thing.
here.
Like, here's my thing: is you can watch any crime show, right? And just whenever the police are explaining, and they're like, "Well, at the time, no, fuck that," because I'm sitting here watching y'all watch yourselves, and y'all are so bad at the things that you do. So you're telling me at no point in time whatsoever, do you pick up the newspaper that you buy to see if there's crime happening a district over?
Bruh. And this kind of goes into like, 'cause I know you mentioned Gacy's IQ a couple times in the previous times we've spoken. This is why I call cap on a lot of his intelligence, because a lot of his ability to get away with shit is just people feeling comfortable around him, or just like not even thinking that, oh, Gacy, no, he would never do that. He's a cool guy. He's nice. He throws parties in his backyard every year, theme parties where we dress up like, I don't know, Paul Revere, or in fucking uh, uh Hawaiian clothings, and eat barbecue. Like, he would never kill people. What made it even
Well,
worse
his
is,
IQ at the time was 118.
fuck that. I like the IQ, because again, the actions he was taking didn't seem. If maybe he was smart, I will say this. Maybe he was intelligent, but it seemed like his ego was so large he would just do stupid shit. Obviously, first and foremost,
Yeah.
it's the
So
admitting to
like,
the murders.
yeah.
First and foremost, it's making sure you're only is only killing majority of the people that work for you, and then not getting rid of the vehicles in an efficient way, and then also burying everyone at your home that they're already suspicious of. Like, it's just stuff that after watching any kind of like murder movie or documentary, I'm like, oh, this feels like simple shit. Like, most people, me included, feel like if I wanted to murder somebody, I have a decent template of how to get away with it, and all the worst mistakes to make are things that he was doing. Everything short of
Well, it's
literally snitching on yourself.
between him and Dahmer and Ted Bundy. All of them had like fairly high IQs at the time. And but it's like with like what you said, that ego, because at this point I became a model citizen and got out of a 10-year sentence in 18 months.
I'm untouchable. Oh God, now what the fuck? I
And then like I'm doing this stuff and you're not arresting me. So it's not even necessarily that it had anything to, I think, like what you said, it doesn't even really have anything to do with his IQ, because some of the things that he was doing and like the way that he's able to navigate around people, and the fact that he had all of this confidence and all this other stuff. So like, he had that high IQ, but when your ego gets in the way, of course you're going to do really dumb shit. And he was like, "Well, I'm going to go confess to these murders and they're not going to do anything." And for the longest time, they fucking didn't. And it's just like, I've proven my point. And I'm like, "What are y'all doing?"
because God, to make it even more like, to make it even more crazy. This is I mean, well, I guess this piece of evidence isn't that crazy. This is a interview that I saw from one of the victims, because he had a few victims where he would do these weird tests, or weird things.
Mhm.
One kid,
Mhm.
it was him essentially being over there for whatever reason and staying the night because he was scared about driving back home due to like weather conditions. And it was Dahmer trying to like coerce him into having sex, or like performing acts on each other, by showing him these stag films or whatever. Well, first and foremost, Dahmer tried to convince him to do the thing, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'd rather not. Have gay sex. I'm not a gay man." He was like, "All right, bet. Hey, you like porn?" He was like, "I don't know what that is." "Oh, here's a video." And he sets up a video and has this kid watch this stag film. And as he's watching this stag film, he puts a gun that's loaded to the back of his head. And he's just like trying to pressure him. He's like, "Hey, you're going to perform an act on me." And then kind of lets the kid kind of sit there terrified for a minute, and then puts the gun away. He's like, "Hey, my bad. That was an experiment that I like to do, where I like to try to put people in extreme situations to see how they react." The kid's like, and this is what killed me. The kid is like, "You know what? After that moment, I felt perfectly safe. I felt perfectly fine. I wasn't
I
scared of
felt
John at
totally
all."
fine, actually. Like, "Sir,
Fast forward to
do you
later that
hear
night.
yourself?"
Fast forward to later that night, he's sleeping, and he says he wakes up to John sitting at the edge of his bed with a knife
Yes,
pressed against
with a
his throat,
knife.
rubbing his crotch or rubbing his
Bro.
leg area, doing the same thing again,
Yes.
saying, "Hey, we didn't finish what we started earlier. I'm gonna do an act on you, and you're gonna do an act on me." John then again is like, "Hey, gotcha
I'm
again.
just
Psych.
kidding.
Just
Just
kidding again."
kidding. Just
It,
kidding.
it took two times for this kid to be threatened for him to then be afraid to leave, be afraid of John. He said the second time he put all his clothes on as quick as possible and sat on the bed until the morning came, and then asked John to drive him back home. I said, look here, bro. First and foremost, after this man trying to get me to have sex with him when I'm already told him I'm not comfortable, I'm already like, all right, I should probably go or find look for. I'd walk or do something to get out of there. Once he puts a gun to my head, I'm sprinting out of there
I
and
gotta
running to the like
go.
I'm leaving. I'm out of there.
The neighbor? Call your he has neighbors
And he
now.
says
Come
that the
on.
only reason he didn't testify or go towards anybody to report, and this is probably more of a reasonable, this is where I'm not as mad about why he didn't report it, is that John lets him know, like, hey, and this is during the ride back. He says, I'm very connected in Chicago. If you tell anybody about this, I will make a phone call and have somebody be at your front door and murder you if you tell anybody about what happened here. So this is where I'm like, okay, John is different than Dahmer or Bundy. He's really well connected. Now, how realistic that threat was, or how viable it is for that threat to happen, I don't know, because I know he's in bed with cops and politicians, but in people that are liable to like assassinate somebody for you, I don't know. There's probably people that can speak to that more than I can. But that was it was interesting to me. The second individual was a kid that got away by the skin of his teeth, because it was another kid that worked for him, and he was mentioning how he had got a rusty nail in his foot at one point during the work, and Gacy went to get him a tetanus shot and make sure he was patched up and all that good stuff. And while his parents were out of town on some kind of thing, and he was at home recovering, he got a call or got a knock on the door from John. John says, "Hey, I'm just here to check on you, making sure you're all good." Da 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 da. Has a bottle of wine with him, and he gets invited in the home. First and foremost, my parents ain't home. I'm still in high school. Why did you bring me a bottle of wine at one, and why are you trying to come in my house? Like, first and foremost. Secondly, they're in the home, and I guess because they have this dialogue back and forth at work all the time about this guy. I think it's Nesmer is his last name. I can't remember. He's a
Yeah.
wrestler on his varsity high school wrestling team. So I guess they have jokes back
Mhm.
and forth about him wrestling, whatever it may be. So they get the horse playing around and trying to like wrestling, whatever it may be. And this kid gets the better of John initially, and John then proceeds to put handcuffs on this kid
Yep.
and
Yep.
then walks
I
out of the
remember that.
room. And this kid is like, "Oh yeah,
Yep.
he put handcuffs on me and then walked out of the room." And somehow this kid is like Batman, I guess, and is able to not only get out of the handcuffs, but when John comes back in the room, he hits him with a double leg takedown, which for people that don't wrestle at
Mhm.
all, it's essentially like a movement where you're sliding on one knee towards somebody and you're grabbing both of their legs at the kneecap from the back and kind of taking them down, essentially, like you're kind of throwing them on their side. So he throws him on his side and then puts the handcuffs on him. And John, I guess, is just so impressed by this because he says to this kid, and he quotes that no one had ever gotten out of the handcuffs, let alone put them on me. And the kid is like, at that moment in time, I thought it was weird, but I didn't think much of it. And then John, after that, got out of the handcuffs and left the kid alive and didn't kill him that night.
Bro,
And I'm
please.
like, I'm like,
At the
so,
time, I thought it was weird, but, I didn't really think about it because what
and
was
this
he
one
gonna do to
frustrates me
me?
even more
Right?
because he didn't even threaten you not to tell anybody. He just like went home. So you had all reasoning in the world to be like, hey, my boss came here and like tried to arrest me, put me in handcuffs, and said that he put other people in handcuffs. And then he says, like, I think like 2 weeks
Like,
later, when a body gets reported, he's like, oh damn,
that's
that could have been
crazy.
me. That could have been me. I could have got
Right, like,
murdered.
what?
I was like, oh my God. And this is the shit I'm talking about where
Y'all are, like,
like
the worst people I know.
he is just like so he just feels he feels like he's on God mode. He feels like he has cheat codes. Like if anybody ever
Exactly.
played video games and played like Grand Theft Auto, where you have cheat codes, where you're getting unlimited money and weapons and unlimited ammo, that's what he feels like he's on right now. He's just untouchable and can do anything he wants to do, because essentially he is, and he's getting away with it, and nobody's telling on him, nobody's questioning him. Even the people that questioning him, like his second wife, just don't care enough to report it. She's just like, yeah, are you? She's accusing him of having sex with minors, and not just minors, but like cheating on her. and she just knows it and knows it, and she's just not leaving him, and then she finally leaves him. I'm just like, bruh. And his first wife only leaves him after he's arrested for the sodomy. And she only leaves him because her father threatens to take their children away if she doesn't leave him. So I'm like, why the fuck? Why does he have to force you to leave this man? I don't understand what is going on with all these white people in the 70s where they're just like, yeah, this one guy, good old John, he makes no mistakes. He has no issues. He's cool. We like John. He throws barbecues. Um, so maybe this is important. This is more of a question to you. Maybe you can explain this a little bit more to me. A lot of the claim to fame around John is the fact that he would at different political parties and sometimes at parades dress up in clown costumes or in clown makeup, and he would have pictures of scary clowns on the walls of his home. And he enjoyed being clowns for whatever reason. And he also enjoyed the aspect of, again, this is some more white people shit, I guess. He would just get to do whatever he wanted as a clown. He mentioned how he would be allowed to sit in women's laps and like grope women, but because he was in clown makeup, nobody thought anything of it. They just took it as a joke. Um,
Mhm.
Obviously, the clown thing is a big part of him, but from all the murders that I noticed, him being in clown makeup was never a part of those murders. So, are there murders that I'm missing where he was killing in the disguise, or are people just attaching the clown thing to him because he was dressing up as a clown at one point?
I mean, he actually did the dressing up as a clown all the time because he went he had a membership to something. It's like a clown club, and he created like all of these clown personas and like different clown characters, and he had all of these different clown makeup and costumes. And one of them, I think that is the one that's most used is Pogo the clown. And
Mm.
Pogo is the one that's seen all the time. He's the happy clown. And then there's one called Patch. There's one called Patches, and Patches is not a happy clown.
You know what's funny? I've seen in different forms of media and others. Like I think in Modern Family, Bogo is the name of one of the clowns that one of the husbands used when he was
Yeah.
a circus clown. I've heard the name Patches and Bogo as clowns in so many different forms of media that it's kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all really did that to these.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
it's kind of crazy.
but he used the clown personas and everything like that because he said like because he didn't like charge anybody to perform for him to perform like when he performed at birthday parties where he was always around children
Mm-hmm.
and all he put like all these events he never like asked for money. He literally just did it for free so he could be around kids, of course. And it helped him regress into his childhood so that he could try to enjoy it without like his father in his ear. Like he would go to political rallies, charitable events, children's hospitals.
I think it was yeah, cancer, like students that were riddled with cancer and all kinds of other sicknesses. Like he's essentially doing
Yeah.
Make a Wish Foundation things before Make a Wish was a thing.
Yeah.
I'm
And it's
just
basically they're just kind of like associating the clown with it because um that was a big part of him, like, a big part of his persona, a big part of, like, just his life in general was doing that, and because he was known as that, they just put his killer clown like, they put killer clown as a name associated with his name so that people would be like, would know that is a big part of his life, and, like, after he would kill somebody, he would go, like, to a party dressed as a clown.
yeah, clowns have horrible PR. Jesus Christ, y'all, the clowns can't catch a break. Anybody that's still
I
like a
was
rich
so
or
good.
like a really big clown right now, I feel bad for y'all because y'all can't catch a break. Jesus Christ,
Look,
between ICP and Gacy, y'all just oh my god.
man, that's crazy.
Um,
Choosing to do that is already wild to me anyway.
bro, tell me about it. I think another issue that I saw, and this kind of goes into why I titled John Wayne Gacy the white privilege killer. That's my title for him because this is something only white people can get away with. When they were suspicious of this man, they put 24-hour cop surveillance on him. And I guess this is where the IQ maybe kind of come in either. And part of me feels like it's not even an IQ thing. These cops are just that bad because I think like day three into them tailing him, he realizes that he's getting tailed and is like making calls to the Chicago police chief to find out why he's getting tailed because he's uncomfortable about it. After a certain amount of time, he not only just like stops giving a fuck about being tailed, but he's like inviting these guys, telling him to like come hang out with them as he's doing things. He'll stop at a diner, they'll
Yes.
go eat with them. He'll go do work at some event or some place, they go in there with them. He would be at home and invite these guys into his house to have like drinks with them and chill. And they're like discussing the different things they're seeing in the home. And I'm just like, how the audacity of a man that's being like it's one thing to be surveilled at when you're at home, but they're 24 hours of the day, 7 days out of the week, tailing you and surveilling you, and you can just be like, "Hey, y'all want to come hang out with me?" And they're just cool with it. They're just going to like come in, and then not even that, but then he eventually gets to a point to where he threatens them that at a certain extent, if they overstep their bounds, he can threaten to have somebody. He's threatening them, letting them know that he hired somebody to tail them, and they'll murder them on the phone call. So I'm just like, bruh, this man is welcoming you into his home, and you're going in, and he's threatening you, and you're still just acting like you're like not afraid. You're just chill. But I
Mhm.
will say to the only benefit of that is that they discovered the bodies because they were in his house hanging out with them. Because they were
Yes.
looking for, there was like there is one of the murdered or disappeared children had like some kind of Motorola TV that they were missing. And one of the guys remember seeing this TV in the home when they did their first warrant search. So they were like, okay, cool. Let's do another search to try to find that TV in the home so we can get more dirt on him. Because for whatever reason, apparently during this time period, they can't take him down or take him to court without literally having every piece of evidence ever to exist. Like they can't arrest him on him admitting to murders. They have to have all the bodies and all this stuff before they can arrest him.
Yep.
But it's, which is again even more stupid to me because you're letting him just kind of go on his day to day. Again, it is what it is. But in this scenario, they're looking for the TV, and John is entertaining one guy in another room, and the other guy's like, "Hey, I'm gonna use the bathroom." They go look for the TV some more, and while the other guy's keeping John entertained, the other guy can't find the TV, so he's like, "All right, I'm actually use the bathroom now. Wash my hands." When the heat clicks on in the house, he then smells the most putrid smell
Bodies.
he can
Yeah.
imagine, and that being decomposing flesh. That's somewhere within or somewhere near the HVAC unit to where it can blow the smell throughout the house, or at least throughout that vent. So they then find out and come to the conclusion that, hey, he's buried all these murdered bodies that we've been looking for months in his house or under the floor in his the crawl space under the house, which is even crazier because at certain points, some of his other workers recall him instructing them to dig holes in the floorboards or at the house and being very peculiar about only digging in a vertical way, not like ever going horizontal when they're digging so they don't disturb the other bodies or find the other bodies. So I'm like, okay, his workers are just digging holes in his house and they're like, nothing's weird about this. It's at a certain point when he's in such he's under such a magnifying glass. I'm like, it just takes one person to snitch. One person out of all these people that have evidence, it takes one of them to snitch. And again, the white privilege comes out there because the fact he didn't get caught blows me. So they then have to go beg and plead to a judge to get a second warrant because for people that aren't aware, it's very difficult to get a second warrant for the same premises because you've already searched one and you kind of already invaded that person's privacy. So you need like extreme extenuating circumstances to get a second warrant for the same location. And they only get that warrant because I guess one of the cases involved a kid that was kidnapped from his place of work, or at least near a place of work of one of his homegirls, and there was a receipt that she either identified or knew of. That was like a photo receipt that they found or saw in his trash can that like tied that kid's missing or his disappearance to Gacy. So they finally got the second warrant. They then decided to tear this man's house apart and finally find one of the parts of the like one body they couldn't really identify because it had been down there for a long time. And then they just eventually found more and more bodies in the home. But while they were looking through that, that's when he like went to the police station at like 2 o'clock in the morning when nobody was there and started to try to confess to murders and to the crimes. And I think this goes back to what you talked about as far as the Black House goes, because he
Mhm.
sat there all night and confessed to different crimes and drank. But then as soon as the morning came and the sunlight came up, he immediately was like, oh, I have things to do. I got to go do this, that, or the third. I have business to oversee. I have things to go do. And he dips out. And he like
Yeah.
doesn't remember that he was confessing to all these crimes the next morning.
Yeah.
And it's like turns into a different person, it feels like. It,
Yeah.
again, this is very interesting. And again, the annoying thing about it for me, at least to kind of wrap up my thoughts
The
on Gacy,
police.
is it's just,
The police.
dude, the police fucking sucked in the 70s. Because if it wasn't him, it was the Dahmer thing where they literally got a phone call about somebody getting murdered and they didn't come.
And didn't do
They
anything.
didn't come investigate. Bundy, where he's legit just like kidnapping college women and murder. Like the cops in the 70s are horrible. Because if you were
Absolutely
white and
horrible.
you wanted to, if you were
Absolutely
white and wanted to
terrible.
murder somebody, you could get away with it so easy. Between them, the Zodiac killer, like that's why there is so many murderers in the 70s that were getting away with shit because the cops were just terrible, and they were legit just playing games with the cops at this point. This is
Honestly,
just
I hate that's why I hate so much watching the documentaries like American I think it's called American no. It's an American crime show. I don't remember what the fuck it's called. But it's like different crimes that happen in America. There's like 5 different or there's 5 seasons of it. But the ones that take place in like the 60s and the 70s, and they're like, well, we couldn't like talk to another jurisdiction because why?
phones work at this point in time. You have telephones.
Why couldn't you? We didn't make the connection. Why not? Do y'all not like? Because there's news, like there's national news. Y'all have televisions. Y'all have radio. So I'm confused as to why. If you like, did you just not watch or listen to
Dog, I looked
those
it up.
things?
I looked it up just to make sure I wasn't crazy. The fax machine and the technology for it was invented in 1843. Y'all niggas had
Yes.
fax machines you could have passed files along with. They had a million ways to
But the thing
communicate.
is that their excuse for not doing so is we never made the connection. How? How is that? And then you just randomly made it the connection yesterday? Please.
This man had 20 plus
Regardless.
bodies, all murdered from the same place that he, like, again, they all murdered as employees of him, all buried at the same location. All, and most of them, as they're being murdered, were missing cars. So that's another thing with like the families. I'm like, as a family, why weren't you like looking for the car? Because a lot of the times they mentioned how like the only thing changed about the car was like the VIN number was slightly altered. So I'm like, he didn't even try to get the car painted to look different. It was the same fucking car going around town that these kids were mining. I'm like, you had all the reason, and I could have solved. Where if I was a cop in the 70s, a lot of this shit would not have happened. Zodiac killer would have been found. Dahmer would have been cooked really early on. This nigga would have been cooked really early on. Like this shit would not have happened because there ain't no fucking way that all these white men were able to just like murder willy nilly. And again, Gacy is just the most like blatant one about it because he like is letting you know in interviews that he felt like he got away with the shit. And his lawyer, his defense
Because they
attorney, is
let
letting us
him
know.
feel that way. They
And
literally
he's
let him
just
feel that
snitching.
way.
And he gave
I
extreme
can
detail
never
on
understand
all
that.
33 of these murders. That's the only way they found out that he committed all these murders is he gave them a walkthrough because he felt like he could manipulate them by telling them what he did. I'm kind of interested to see what this biopic series is going to look like. Because man, it seemed like a lot of his murders seem very underwhelming. One of them was legit just him like killing a kid by putting the handcuffs on him and then choking him out and then burying him in the garage and then putting cement over it. And I'm like,
I mean, I've never too much cared about the method, just like the number. But there are some who just like I'm like, are y'all like, are you cool? Because eating kids is a wild concept, actually. So you know,
This, this is the last thing I'll rag on cops for the cops about. I promise, this is something that really pissed me off. When they were investigating him for the murder and they got the warrant to go enter his home and look for things, they found sex toys, handcuffs, chains. Like you found everything you would need to torture somebody. His house is already creepy where he has kill like weird looking clowns up on the wall everywhere. He has a tiki bar in the middle of his house, random as fuck. Dude's just weird. And you telling me nobody smelled the dead body? Like it took one person to coincidentally be washing his hands to smell rotting flesh? I'm just like first and foremost, again, if I find a dildo and all kinds of other sex toys and chains and shit in your drawer, I'm like, he's at bare minimum a suspect. At bare minimum, a key suspect. That granted, like he probably was a key suspect at this point in time because they got the warrant. But I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard. He's not hard. He's not trying to get rid of any evidence. It was DNA not a thing in the 70s, like at all. Like I feel like
no,
I feel like there'd be plenty of DNA on the fucking dildo to find out who it belonged to. I digress. Again, y'all, that's all I have on John Wayne Gacy. I kind of know I rambled a little bit and jumped from spot to spot, but there's just like different things as I would find out as I found there were different things he did that I found out about as time was going on that would just like really just take me aback. Cause I'm just like, how the fuck did
yeah,
he get away with doing this stuff to 33 different people over the course
yeah.
of maybe 3 years, 4 years? I can't remember how long he was active for before he was actually arrested and caught. Because once he was arrested, he was like escaping the death sentence for like 14 years. Because the trial was in 81 or 80 or 79. He got arrested like 79 and his court case started like in the early 80s.
Yeah,
Um,
his first one, it was in 72, excuse me.
so for almost 10 years, this man was able to murder 33 people in the sloppiest manner possible, with everybody knowing him and like knowing of him being weird at a certain point. Because at a certain point, you know what's crazy? People didn't question him about him possibly being a murderer and like being weird to him then. It's when the rumors about him being a gay man got around town where people started to be like, ooh, we probably shouldn't hang out with John. I was like, so because he's gay, I don't want to hang out with him. And y'all stop going to the barbecues because y'all thought he was gay, not because he was a suspect in murder cases of multiple children who worked for him. And then as a
No,
kid, if I
they
see a
can do
bunch of kids
murder.
going missing from the same place of work, why would I then go try to get a job there? The military
You're
has to be a
using
better option.
hindsight right now. You're using hindsight right now.
Bro, even then, I don't even need hindsight for this. If there is a job that is in the news and publicly known, maybe not even publicly known on the media news, just like in your own hometown, it's a small town. If you're like, man, Johnny, Bobby, Billy, Zach, Kyle, all worked for this man at this contractor company and they all disappeared. Maybe I shouldn't apply to go work for that fucking contracting company. Because the last time anybody ever saw these people were all at work. And when they asked this nigga John, hey man, you hear about this guy? You hear from this guy? Oh, he quit. I don't know where he at. They're like, for sure, for sure.
Right.
No, bro. I'm like, I don't fucking need hindsight for that. I just don't apply for that job, dog. Go McDonald's cannot be that bad of an option in the 70s. Like the cost of living could have been that crazy. The military had to be an option for niggas. Like this could be this could be it, bro. Oh my god. Oh my god, dog. But yeah, I'm done. Do you have any other thoughts on your crush before we get up out of here?
Well, first of all, not a crush. Relax. Calm down.
Jesus
I just
Christ.
I enjoy other people's reaction to the story and how the police officers are fucking terrible.
Because I only ever really knew of, I knew the clown thing was associated with him. And all the things I saw of him in media were just like the pictures of him at like kids' birthday parties. So I always assumed he would like. I thought his MO was him murdering children and kidnapping them from like birthday parties. I never knew of all the other shit additionally, and that really pissed me off.
Kidnapping from birthday parties.
That's what I'm like. Okay, I'm like, all right, he's a killer clown. It makes more sense that he would like do weird shit like kidnap kids at birthday parties. Hell, that would seem more sensible than this nigga hiring you and giving like you got a W. He gives you a W-2, and he still proceeds to kidnap and murder you. And they're just like, "Hey, where's Bobby at?" I don't know. I ain't never seen him. He quit. He quit yesterday. I don't know, bro.
I just the title for this is going to the title for this is just gonna be your Gacy rants.
Oh my god.
This is so funny. Okay, real quick, I'm just going to go through Mr. Ed Gein. Um, Ed Gein had it's kind of hard calling him a serial killer because serial killer is like four or more people to me. But he has two murder victims confirmed, seven others that are suspected, and then he mutilated nine corpses. Now, I know we've seen A House of a Thousand Corpses.
I have not
If you
actually.
haven't, really,
Yeah.
all right. House of a Thousand Corpses, um, has is like loosely adapted from him, basically. So there's several different things that are adapted from him. Um, there's a movie from like 74 called Deranged. I think also Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. Um, and they they have Ed Gein the musical.
A musical? Okay. Never mind. Let me stop. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Because if I start,
And then
go ahead.
they have House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. And then of course he served as inspiration for Norman Bates, Leatherface, Buffalo Bill, and Garland Green from Con Air, right? And also he's the inspiration for the doctor from American Horror Story, the Asylum season. I want to
Mm.
say it's Dr. Oliver, but I cannot remember. Anyway, but the thing really that I wanted to discuss was the reason that Ed Gein is so known. Of course, he did kill, like, he was convicted of killing those two people, and then he of course has seven people that are suspected of being his victims. But there was this thing that he did when he mutilated corpses. He didn't sleep with them because he said they smelled too bad.
You don't say.
And he didn't wanna he didn't wanna do that. However, he made things from them. And one person that he had killed, one of the people that he had killed, was a woman. He decapitated her and kept her head and like kept her whole body actually, but he cut her up and used her for things. And the reason that he wasn't arrested for that immediately is because during his interview with the police officer, the sheriff beat the shit out of him, and his interrogation was indismissible.
And what year is this again? Is taking place in the 70s as well?
It's in the 50s, like mid to late 50s.
Okay, that makes I guess more. Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the things that he used to make, he had like whole human bones and fragments. He made a waste basket out of human skin. He had human skin covered chairs. He had bedposts that had skulls on them. Um, he sawed the tops of the female skulls off to make bowls. He had a corset that he didn't wear, nor did he give to anybody. made out of a female torso that had been skinned from like shoulder to waist. He had leggings made from human skin. And there was a boy who was a friend, like his parents were friends of Ed Gein, who was like, "Ayo, Mr. Police Officer, that guy has many human skulls. Y'all should do something about that." And they were like, "Mr. Gein, why do you have such things?" And he was like, "Oh, my cousin sent these to me from like the Philippines or whatever." But as it turns out, it was actually skulls that he dug up and took, and the human skin that was stretched on them, he used to wear as masks just to like fucking walk around.
Go ahead. Go ahead. If I speak now, I'm gonna go on a rant. Just go ahead. I
He
can't.
kind of had four noses, and he had four noses that he just kept, and he had a belt that was made from female human nipples.
Go. Go ahead. Go. 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 Go.
Really, I guess you could say the only thing that he was truly convicted of was the two murders that he committed. His suspected murders were an 8-year-old girl, a 14-year-old girl, and then someone older who was, I think, about 40 in their 40s that went off to hunt deer. And he also did that. But when he got caught, of course, he was declared mentally insane. He was not fit for trial. However, after they did a psych eval, the judge was like, "Bring his ass here." And he was convicted of one of the murders, but then um they couldn't convict him, well, I think he was convicted of both murders actually, but they couldn't convict him of anything else because he was then declared insane and had to just spend the rest of his life in a mental asylum. I was like, it took the murders for y'all to declare him insane and not him having a belt made of human nipples? Not the lampshade that he made from a human face.
Just to make sure I am not mistaken, what what form of complexion does Ed Gein have?
He is a white man.
Interesting. Interesting. Continue.
And he used he used to also enjoy dipping into Nazi things as well.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, we're just hey. Oh man.
His favorite of that, he also, well, okay, so he, he had like a small room, um because he used to work on a farm and do odd jobs. And he boarded up rooms that were used by his mother, which was like, including the upstairs and everything. So he boarded up all of these fucking rooms so that nobody could touch them. And um he like lived in these like all of the rooms became just like really gross because there's like nobody up there. And he lived in a small room next to his kitchen, and he got super interested in reading pulp magazines and adventure stories that either involved cannibals or Nazi atrocities, mainly be concerning Ilsa Koch. And he also did construction work, and then he ended up selling 80 acres of land that someone else had earned, like someone else had like owned. So I'm not sure how that ended up working, but whatever. But my thing is that it took him murdering an older woman who was like 60 years old. It took him murdering an older woman for y'all to notice that this man is absolutely fucking insane. And because y'all have talked to him and been around him, and nothing to you seemed to be off. Not even the fact that he was clearly wearing a belt made of nipples.
Oh, Jesus Christ. This man.
I'm wondering, like, what do we do? Like, what do y'all do when you talk to people like that you don't notice things? I feel like I myself would notice if someone was wearing a belt made of nipples.
I notice it. I definitely notice it. Hey,
I'd be like, huh.
is that areola on your your buckle right there? Is that
Now, one of the things that they said is what tipped them over the edge to the fact that he was quite possibly crazy was that after his mother died, he began making a woman suit so that he could become his mother to crawl into her skin.
so it wasn't the bone mass, the skin, the titty belts, the it's just it's the big suit. Okay, got you.
This skin suit. Yes. And then it's the fact that, I can understand the anger from the police officer, but you fucked up your own case when you smashed his head into the table.
Which, you know what? Understandably so. I get it. I get it. You
And then you
you
killed
hear about
yourself.
buddy doing something
Well,
like
actually,
that, I
that's
get
not
it.
true. Well, then he died. The sheriff who did it died of heart failure before Gein had trial because he was traumatized by his crimes. I would be too, right? Why did it take you so long? He should not have several chairs covered in human skin. He should not have those. I feel like the nipple belt probably would have been my first and only time before I went to the cops. Because what are we doing? But thank God he didn't sleep with the bodies. He just, used them for things like lampshades.
Lampshades. I don't. Honest. So I guess to stop me from ranting, an interesting thing I did kind of just pick up. I'm curious. I'm going to ask Doug this on my interview with him next week. If Ed Gein was at all like an inspiration for his creation of Renee for the Out of the Fashion School serial killer stuff, because the bloodbaths make sense, but I was like, man, where is her making clothes out of the skin coming from? And it'd be cool if this was a combination of these two people.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be an interesting thing to ask. Um, I don't remember if I saw him say anything about that, but you know,
The
that's
question has been written
wild,
down.
honestly. That is a wild fucking thing. And then he lived to be 77. Honestly,
This man
y'all
got to
should have
live
killed that man.
a full life after doing some shit like that.
Yeah, he lived until he died of respiratory failure and lung cancer in 1977. I mean, 1984. He lived in 1984 at the age and died until died at the age of 77. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. White people, man.
White
No offense to
again.
no offense to the ones that I love so much because I love you, but like y'all have crazy people. Y'all cannot deny that.
Yeah. Well, we're again. I think the title of this episode needs to be
The rant.
white privilege serial killers at this point. White privilege beats all. White privilege just needs to be part of the title because Jesus Christ. How in the actual
Ah,
fuck?
mm-mm-mm. This was funny.
This legitimately kind of irritated
Say
me.
this was so good. The police are terrible. The police are so bad. Like, how are you just so bad at your job?
I genuinely don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. It pisses me off, to be quite frank. Especially with somebody like a Dahmer who was preying on black people too. So it's like doubly like annoying for me that y'all just let this man get away with everything and he was doing this shit.
Everything.
Okay. Yeah. I don't I'm speechless now. That game shit was kind of just like, all right, he was a murderer, a racist, a
A cannibal,
Nazi, a
apparently.
cannibal. I'm like, bro, how like he is Satan's greatest soldier. They talk about King Von. This thing is it. You were a Nazi, a
And
murderer, a
the thing is,
cannibal.
and somebody said, I can't see him being like the inspiration for Texas Chainsaw. You sure?
They
Have you
can't see
watched it?
that being an inspiration.
You can't you have you watched Texas Chainsaw?
I
Because
I
that
don't
has
understand how
Ed
they
Gein
can't.
written all over it.
Then he
That
has
has
like
Ed Gein written all of it.
I'm pretty sure he has mommy issues. I know he has family issues with the whole thing about
Yeah,
like them having a literal corpse at the damn fucking dinner table. I can't remember if it
yeah,
was specifically mommy issues though.
man.
Yeah,
Um,
bro.
that's
Oh,
insane, actually.
yeah. So
But
y'all let us know in the comment section below. How do y'all feel about these two? What are your thoughts on these two individuals? Because I'm curious. I know what we think, but I'm curious to see what like the outside perspective thinks about these guys. I understand the fascination with serial killers in regards to being interested how somebody so weird and out there could exist within the world to do these crazy things. But this nigga having a musical is insane to me. Like I get you having like murderers or things inspired off of them. Hell, I even have a character that's inspired from John Wayne Gacy myself in one of my in my comic series at some point that you'll meet. But having a literal one-to-one adaptation musical is just crazy to me. I'm sorry. Horror movie, cool. Biopic, maybe I get it. Musical, that's insane. This is
and
not Phantom.
the thing is that it's a comedy musical.
Oh fuck no. No fuck no.
What's like? What are we
What are we
doing?
doing? Some people do not deserve to see the pearly gates. I'm sorry. Because who greenlit that
And it
shit?
came out in 2010. It came out in 2010.
Oh,
I'm
this
just
or
like,
oh wow. I thought this was like I thought this was like peak serial killer love time during like the 80s where people were like still
mm,
writing pen pals and shit to the prisoner. Like this is a recent thing. Oh my God.
mhm.
Oh my.
and 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 it aired on PBS.
Turn this shit off. Stop. This episode's done. We're done. We're done. We're done. We're fucking done. We're done. Nigga, you say PBS?
PBS.
Lord, give me strength. Lord, give me strength. So we're watching Arthur, Word Girl, Rough Ruffman, Ed
Dragon
Gein
Tales.
musical, Dragon Tales, Ed Gein. Yeah, okay, bro. Who greenlit it?
Sesame Street, and then
Whoever greenlit this shit is going to hell.
oh, and just in case you guys didn't know, there also was a theatrical stage musical that came out in Wisconsin April of this year.
You know what? I'm not that mad at the Wisconsin one because what else are you doing in Wisconsin?
And that it had 400 people there.
Yeah, it's like the entire state of Wisconsin.
Oh my god. My
It's the
chest started to
entire population of Wisconsin is showed up at that one thing. Because what the
You
fuck
know
else are
what?
you gonna
That's
do?
fine.
What else are you gonna do on a Friday
I
night? What
can't
else are
do
they gonna
this.
do in Wisconsin, bro?
Well, and then it's because Ed Gein is from Wisconsin.
That honestly makes even more sense. Again,
They're
what else are you gonna
they're
fucking do in
like, oh,
Wisconsin?
they're like, check out our namesake.
Ed Gein and cheese. I got cheddar and Ed Gein. Great, good for y'all.
I can't. We're done. I can't do this anymore. You know what? Do
Somebody
you
from
have any?
Wisconsin's gonna fucking cook us in the chat in the comment section of this video. This
Did
episode.
anybody? Did you have anything else?
No, I'm white privileged out. This white privilege conversation has been very interesting. Again, whenever we talk about serial killers, I always find it very interesting to see the methodology and like what the cause of them being the reasoning for turning into who they turned into. Again, I'm just seeing a lot of patterns in regards to the family trauma from either a father or a mother, the struggling sexual identity between a Dahmer and a Gacy, and the ability to feel like they can get away with things and just not suffer consequences because they were doing it in a time to where they could get away with everything and not suffer consequences. So, say la vie.
Mhm. Well, I don't have anything else either, and you guys can always check us out on our channels.
Yeah.
And that's it for me. Usually I have like a clever line, but I can't do it today. But I can't.
Oh my god. Last thing I'll
Wait,
do again.
wait.
You can find us at both of our channels. Me at Cap Diesel 24 on relatively just about any platform, social media wise, as well as YouTube. And then just to kind of give people a heads up, I've announced this on different social media pages as of yesterday, but your boy has a comic coming out very soon. My first comic book will be debuting Halloween, hopefully day, if not Halloween day, maybe later October, but October is the planned date to release this book. It is titled Reaper, and it is horror action, I guess, for like for people that are maybe looking at like what the thematics of it will be. It's gonna be horror themed and there's gonna be a lot of action and some hopefully heartfelt moments. I'm enjoying the process of learning to be a good writer with this thing. So y'all be kind with me. And you know, support your boy if you want to check it out digitally or if you want to order a physical copy.
Kinder than we were to the serial killers today.
Please, like exponentially kinder, please. Cause oh my god, I'm done.
But that is it, you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.